Thank you for this opportunity to be here in this beautiful country with everybody. I was kind of put on the spot for this, so I'm just going off the top of my head. But yeah, it's an honor to be speaking to all of you today. And I'm going to just be sharing a little bit about what the entrepreneurial landscape is like in Seattle, and then talking about my journey to being pre-seed invested, and then how I basically got to that point. I'm here, if anybody doesn't know, working with Jason on a program. We're doing a digital innovation boot camp, and the topic is on no code. So we're using a platform called eTower to build prototypes, and then those prototypes are used to validate ideas, basically build minimum viable products. So that's going to be a big part of what I'll be talking about today. That's how I got my journey started, is through using no-code technology. So my entrepreneurial background kind of starts from a very young age. My mom is an entrepreneur. She runs a insurance company, a mortgage company, and she's an independent lender and then works with a small team. So I've seen it throughout my life, her just working all kinds of crazy hours. She works from home. So I've been able to witness her entrepreneurial journey since I was a very young kid. And so since I was, I guess, maybe 7, I've been doing little tiny businesses. Started with making duct tape wallets and selling them at school. And then in middle school, I used to paint these Japanese ball and cup toys called kendamas and sell those. And then in high school, I started a chapstick company and a clothing business, but nothing ever really succeeded until just the last couple of years. So what I always say is it's a long time of nothing happening and you just putting in constant effort, but you have to have a sense of belief in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. So it's just been this last year that I finally started to see some seeds sprout, and a lot of that stems from this concept called founder market fit, which is picking a market that you truly understand. So in college, I tried to work on a financial technology platform with a friend of mine, and in those days, that was about 5 years ago, my thought process was we were going to put together the best pitch deck ever, and then we were going to go try to raise money for this idea. And we found that nobody wanted to talk to us, because all we really had was a fancy pitch deck that was painting this vision of how we were going to change the world, but there wasn't a whole lot of substance behind it as far as having a business with real metrics or a real team or founders that really understood the market. So we moved away from that. My friend and I, he's actually from Ghana, the guy I met in college, and we were working on these projects together. The next project we started was a platform called eTower, and that's the first product that I've actually been able to bring to market. But what I learned through that experience, so for that product, it was called eTower, and we were building a streaming platform that was kind of a baby between Netflix and YouTube, and that you could upload as a creator. You could go on and upload TV shows, and then people could stream those TV shows on the other side. And then we built a cryptocurrency inside of it so that the creators could get tipped in cryptocurrency from their audience. So we thought it was the greatest idea ever, and as soon as it hit the market, it was going to change the world. We were going to get millions of users. And what we came to find out is that after a year and way too much money spending for the development, nobody really cared about the idea. And so I eventually started to learn about this whole new revolution in software development called no-code. No-code, if you haven't heard of it, is just a way of building applications without writing code. So there's a lot of tools out there, if you've heard of them, like Adalo, Bubble, Flutterflow, Glide, DraftBit, the list goes on. There's all these tools you can use now to get your ideas out of your head and into people's hands much quicker, so that you can find out from the market and get kind of objective facts on whether people actually want your business or not. So now the industry that I'm in is in hospitality. I also run a software development agency. We primarily focus on no-code solutions, working with earlier stage entrepreneurs. So I found that to be a great niche, because there's a lot of people that want to validate their business ideas, but they don't have the money or the time to build out their apps from the ground up through custom development. So we have kind of captured the niche market of building quick and fast and effective solutions for people to build minimum viable products using a tool called eTower. But anyways, going back to when I was 16, I started working in the restaurant industry, and I worked in the restaurant industry for about 7 years. And in the last year that I was working in a restaurant, we had a bunch of issues related to training. And so I decided to take it upon myself to build a training solution for the people that I was working with. So we were hiring a bunch of people, but nobody was able to become a server or bartender because you had to memorize all the food and drink specs at the restaurant. And so I had all these frustrations personally, so I just tried to solve my own problem to start. And the solution ended up being very effective for me, basically just a tool to study the drinks and the food at a restaurant. So I sent it out to the rest of the people that I was working with. It was very effective for them. So I just continued to develop this idea, working in an industry that I understood. And then I started to talk to other restaurant owners, hotel owners, owners of bars and things. Found a business partner that also went to the same college as I did. I went to a small entrepreneurship school just outside of Boston, Massachusetts called Babson College. And what I found through that process is that because I could speak the same language as the customers that I was trying to onboard into my company, they actually resonated with me. So previously when I was trying to work in finance and trying to work in the creator economy, they could tell when I was talking to people that had a podcast and that had a YouTube channel and I was trying to convince them to come on board with me and work on eTower and upload their TV shows. They could, smell me out right away that I had no idea what I was talking about. I've never made a YouTube video or podcast or anything like that. So that's just one thing that I really advocate for anyone starting their entrepreneurial journey is make sure you're picking a market that you truly understand, that you can speak the same language as your customers. You're using the same terminology. They can tell that you have knowledge and that you are a leader in that field. So the field that I understand, because I've worked in it a very long time, is hospitality. So the product that I built, we built it with a no-code tool, as I mentioned, called Adalo. And I spent about a year working on that product and then doing a lot of demos. And eventually one of those demos led to a partner that we're now working with. And through that process, we've been able to validate the idea without hiring any expensive development team. I built the product completely by myself, just working for months and months and months in my room. And then through having something that I could actually show people for the first time, rather than just having a fancy pitch deck that I was trying to come out and say that I have the greatest idea ever, they could actually see what I was working on. And so no code has been our way to now we're building a custom platform and we're able to raise a pre-seed round with our business because we had a tool and we had a few customers onboarded. So that's something that I really advocate for, is whether if you are a developer, then building a simple MVP that you can get your idea out of your mind and into the world so that other people can start to see it is just a really effective way. If you're having conversations, it's a lot easier to be talking to a potential investor or potential customer if you actually have something to show, rather than just trying to explain to them what it is that you're doing that's going to change the world. So that's been a huge part of my journey, is the no-code side. In Seattle, we have a very vibrant venture capital ecosystem and angel network. So what you'll find is a lot of accelerators. I work at a startup accelerator at the University of Washington, which is actually where I met Jason. The startup accelerator is called Commotion Labs, and they support small early stage companies. And inside of the incubator accelerator is also Techstars. So Techstars is the most active pre-seed investor in the world right now. They have locations all over the world. One of their locations being in Seattle, and the management director there for the Seattle location, he did a talk about a month ago where he was also sharing his thoughts on no code, and that's kind of the direction that he's pointing a lot of his early stage entrepreneurs to go as well. So if you don't have development skills, don't feel that you can't actually build a product if technology is the route that you're going. I'm sure a lot of you are building businesses that are not in the field of technology. So because I'm speaking mainly to those that are trying to build a platform or an application, no code is a great way to do that. So I'll be here afterwards, after the event, to speak more to that. If you want to learn more about that, you can feel free to come up and ask me questions around that. But yeah, so one thing that I also talk a lot about is the human imagination. So a big point of the boot camp that we've been running is just talking about the importance of the imagination and the importance of being able to basically envision a future that's not yet here and accept it in your heart as reality, even though other people cannot see it, touch it, or feel it. So to me, that's kind of the essence of being an entrepreneur, is that you can see a future of a market or a future of your country or your city that other people can't see, and you are obsessed with it becoming reality, so much so that no matter what anybody tells you, no matter how crazy they say that you don't care, because you know that that future that you envision and that you can see clearly in your imagination will come to pass as long as you continue to put daily effort into it. And so an analogy that I shared earlier in the week is a picture of an acorn and then an oak. And this is something that I've really used as kind of the symbols that the symbols for my entrepreneurial journey, is that, you know, someday I want to be an oak tree. So an oak tree is the strongest, most powerful, one of the most long-lasting, strong trees in the world. And you could replace that with some of the business titans of Namibia or the business titans of Africa. Those are the oak trees that a lot of you in this room may want to be someday. And I'm looking out right now and I see a field of acorns. And I don't mean that in a negative term at all. What I mean is that you have the blueprint within you. You have the DNA to become an oak tree. And so what you have to realize is that you already are that oak tree. It's just not yet here yet. But if you believe in your heart that you already are the oak tree, because you are an acorn, and an acorn has the DNA to become an oak tree, it's a lot easier to get to that position, because nobody else, like I said, nobody else is going to believe in you until you do. So just accept that as like if it resonates with you, use that as your way to just continue to, you know, put in that daily effort that sometimes it can take 3, 4, or 5 years before you really see anything in the outside world, or before people start to recognize the work that you put in. So that's something that I hold dearly to my heart. And then, yeah, speaking more to what the venture capital ecosystem looks like in Seattle. So as I said, a lot of incubators and accelerators, a lot of earlier stage entrepreneurs come and do their work in cohorts. So we have a lot of co-working spaces. That's something that I think is great, is having friends that are kind of on the same path as you. So being able to be in a room like this where everybody is working on something, it really helps when, you know, there's a certain type of energy that comes with being an entrepreneur, and you can sense that in people that are just going the traditional corporate route. They have a different way of living life, and it does take it takes a lot to be an entrepreneur. And so it's great that, you know, you all are in this room together, because you can take this journey on together. And the venture capital funds right now, there's definitely some kind of holding tight to wallets that's going on in the United States. I can't really speak to what it's like over here, but in the US, there's definitely become a little bit harder as an earlier stage company to raise money. Some of the big industries that are getting invested in right now, biotech and AI, are getting money poured into left and right. But I feel that there's a lot of like AI is sort of it's huge, but it's kind of like the crypto or NFT wave that went on a few years ago, where somewhat of a fad. So I think a lot of the solutions will be effective, but here, what I've seen and what I've had a lot of conversations around is, in the US, we are investing in very niche things to solve like micro problems for large enterprises or something, but we're not really solving real problems anymore. We're coming up with new marketing schemes to try to convince people to buy stuff that they don't even need. Whereas here in Africa, I really believe, from what I've seen in the conversations that I've had, you all have an opportunity that's way beyond anybody in the States, because you have a more of a blank canvas than we do. Our country is so far developed. There's nothing new under the sun. But being able to learn from more developed countries, and being able to build solutions that people actually need, because is more need here. Like, the opportunities are endless, and I'm excited to hopefully be able to stay in contact with maybe some of you in this room, and keep in contact as far as seeing how things go with the entrepreneurs here, through Josiah, through Jason, and see all of you succeed and become the oak trees that you already are. So I hope that you all resonate with that idea. And again, I'm really appreciative to be able to share some words about my story and about what the United States looks like right now as far as money goes. So sorry I don't have a ton of statistics or facts, if that's what you were looking for. I don't really study the VC ecosystem. The money that we were able to raise was through a partnership that we've made. So we are sort of now going back into the field and looking for our next seed round. So we did a pre-seed, we're looking for seed capital, but we're just continuing to build our business. And one thing that I can share though, and that I've learned, is that investors, at least in the States, they want to jump on board of a moving train. The closer you can get to not needing them, the easier it will be to raise money. So if you can keep your head down, build a business, get your customers going, get your metrics right, you'll have a much easier chance of raising money, rather than being so focused on the raising money that you come at these investors in a state of desperation. You can sense that very, very easily. But if you are in a state where it's like, sure, I'll take your money, but I don't really need it because I already have a business, we're already moving, we're a moving train, you're a lot more likely to get people to want to jump on board. So yeah, again, thank you for having me here, and I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I hope to interact with a lot of you during the happy hour event.